Shalini and Abhipsa, am I audible? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
It's okay. I will tell. Abhipsa, now you can start.
Esteemed President, Vice Chancellor, Honorable panel members and delegates, invited guests, members of faculty and staff, coordinators of the symposium, and my student colleagues. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to the plenary session of the National Finance Symposium 2021 with the theme Managing Finance for Sustainable Future. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Padmanabha Mohapatra, Head School of Accountancy, ASBM University, will moderate this session. I now take the privilege of introducing the panel members of the sessions. We are delighted to have Professor Dr. Uttam Kumar Datta with us in this session. Dr. Datta is MCom, LLB and PhD. Professor Datta is currently working as the Professor of Commerce, School of Professional Studies, Netaji Subhash Open University, West Bengal. Dr. Datta is the former Professor of Commerce and Registrar of West Bengal State University, Kolkata. Professor Datta is having a long 38 years of teaching experience in the field of business, finance, and management. We are thankful to you for agreeing to be with us in this symposium. We are fortunate to have with us Mr. Vishnu Mohan Nayak. Mr. Nayak is a chartered accountant by profession and an associate member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is currently working as finance manager in Murugappa Group, one of the large corporate conglomerates in India. He specializes himself in the field of finance reporting, working capital management, budgetary control, and Indian accounting standards. We are very much thankful to you for agreeing to be with us in this symposium.
Thank you.
We have with us Mr. Vikash Agarwal, Regional Manager, SBI Life Insurance. Mr. Agarwal has acquired his academic qualification in BSc, LLB, and MBA from IMT Ghaziabad. He holds more than 3 decades of cross-industry experience from IT sector to service industry. He joined SBI Life Insurance in the year 2006 and for last 15 years, he has handled various assignments in almost all verticals of the company. Mr. Agarwal is presently based at Bhubaneswar and looking after state of Odisha for Bancassurance channel of SBI Life Insurance through its 875 branches. We are obliged to you, sir, for your gracious presence in this symposium. I now request the moderator, Dr. Padmanabha Mohapatra, to deliver the opening remarks and then moderate the session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Abhipsa. Respected President, SVM University. Respected Vice Chancellor, SVM University. Respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Controller and other dignitaries. Respected panel speakers, Professor Datta, Chartered Accountant Vishnu Mohan ji and Mr. Vikas Agrawal ji, co-coordinator of the symposium. Delegates, members of faculty and staff, and my students. Good afternoon and welcome to all of you to this plenary session of the National Finance Symposium 2021 with the theme Managing Finance for Sustainable Future. Good afternoon. During the inaugural session, we had a great journey over to the issue, sustainable future. A long discussion was there between the two mantras of finance, financing the proposition and judicious use of finance. How to finance? The cost of finance, the cost of capital, would be lesser to add substantial value for the future. Strong modules of investment decisions should be taken care of so as to generate substantial value for the fund providers to provide them a bright future. Eco, socio, and environmental factors should be taken care of to bring a sustainability. The sustainable future is very well associated with the King Bharat of Treta. Ramachandra went to the forest for 14 years. Ajodhya from Ram as a representative at Chitrakoot. He managed the finance of Ajodhya in such a manner that an unbelievable corpus was available for Ramachandra, who returned after 14 years from Banavas. With the use of this vast fund and the way or the mantra of progress performed by his younger Sri Bharat, so that he became able to form a Ramarajya in Ajodhya. This is the essence of future sustainability. Just think about the era after the war Mahabharata. The king Yudhishthira adopted a few social and developmental changes in the field of finance. Because of that wealth of the country, the wealth of the country raised to a peak and the great India was seen. Its better effect, the sustainability was seen during the period of King Parikhita, the Suvarna Yuga. If we shall see the social, financial and developmental and social changes made by the Emperor Sursa Suri, followed by Humayun for a short span and the great Akbar, then definitely we will think of the word sustainability. We saw a great India during that time. See the great man Jamshedji Tata, because of his future thoughts of nation building and strong developmental feelings and emotions, the word Tata is at the tongue of every Indians now, from the Tata salt to Tata tea and to Tata vehicles and what not. This is called sustainability. In this program, we have three eminent stalwarts in the field of finance to address us. They will share their thoughts on the subjects. I will not take time. I now request Professor Dr. Uttam Kumar Datta, the Professor of Finance, Netaji Subhash Chandra Open University, to address the assemblies. Thank you, Professor Datta. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just taking the help of PowerPoint.
Okay, no problem.
Is it visible?
PowerPoint is not visible, so present
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. Now, yeah. Is it visible? Now
Yes, it is visible. Visible.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Honorable Professor Mohapatro, for nice introduction of the theme of this. Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the topic of my discussion is managing finance for sustainable future. And before starting my lecture, I express my sincere gratitude to ASBM University Authority for giving me an opportunity to speak something through this webinar. So I express my sincere thanks to the university. My discussion will be subdivided into 4 important parts. Number 1, background. Number 2, sustainable issues to finance decisions and key value drivers. I will touch upon certain key issues. Number 3, corporate sustainability reporting. All of you know that in the field of reporting, havoc changes have been done. And finally, the Indian scenario. So far as the first aspect, that is background, friends, all of you know that all business activities need acquisition and use of funds for their commercial running. That is generating revenues. Business is to generate revenue over total costs incurred. It is obvious. So naturally, finance will be required, and finance is the lifeblood of a business. The financial management study about the process of procuring and judicious use, mind it, you are to give emphasis on judicious use. If you apply judicious use of your financial resources, then it is obvious that you will be able to maximize the value of the firm, because the goal of the business is to maximize the value of the firm, as well as you will be able to get sustainable future and efficient management of every business naturally. And getting sustainable future depend on efficient management of its finance. You have to manage your finance efficiently in order to get sustainable growth, that is sustainable future. Is it clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the question arises because I have mentioned, and our moderator, Professor Mohapatro, he has also mentioned that finance is essential. So what is finance? A lot of definitions are there. I will just touch upon 1 or 2 definitions. In general, finance means provision of money at the time it is wanted. When you need money, there will be proper provision of money. But in case of management, it carries a special meaning. And here, Finance refers to the application of skill, mind it, application of skill and care in the procurement, number one, proper use, number two, and control of money. So you want to apply these three aspects with your skills and care, then you'll be able to manage your finance properly. The functions of financial management have undergone sea changes. Havoc changes have been done in case of financial management. Until about the middle of the last century, it was restricted to only procurement of funds. But now the situation has been changed. Since 1950s, the concept of finance has been totally changed. Friends, we talk about sustainable finance because our topic of discussion is sustainable finance. And a sustainable finance is sometimes referred to as green finance, minded green finance. But mind it that green finance is not just about reducing emissions or preventing environmental damage. No, it carries special meaning. The finance ecosystem, clients and employees, shareholders and stakeholders is striving the purpose and sustainability. Naturally, environmental, social, and governance considerations are the forefront of financing decisions supported by sustainable development goals and increased awareness of the climate emergence. What environmental concern includes? Because we have mentioned that environment, social, sustainability, these are important terminologies. What environmental concerns include? Environmental concerns include air and water, pollution, deforestation, and biodiversity. More generally, they relate to how a company performs as a steward of nature. Mind it, a company is to save environment. A company is to act as a steward of environment. Is to companies to protect our environment. And if a company wants to get sustainable benefit, it is obvious that it has to
Hello, Professor Datta. Am I audible? Am I audible, sir, Professor Datta? Hello, Professor Datta. Am I audible? Control room, Sri Akash Babu. अच्छा को पचार दवा टिके
ଆକାଶ କଣ କରିବ ଏଇଟା ତ କିଛି
Hmm?
ଏଇଟାରେ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ନାହିଁ
Acha.
ସେ ଲୋକର କଣ ନାହିଁ ତ ନହେଲେ
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are now audible.
Yeah.
Sir, you need to
Ha,
again check.
you are audible, sir. Please continue. Hello, Professor Datta, am I audible to you? Am I audible, Professor Datta? Professor Datta, we will switch over to the another one and then you will continue. Am I audible to you, sir? Okay, Abhip sir, please go for the next one. Our next speaker. We will allow them. Let's say Professor Datta in the next. Wait, please. Again, Professor Datta has joined. Professor Datta, am I audible? Okay, Professor Datta is presenting.
প্রথমে চলে যাও প্রথমে যাই Oh, is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is now visible, and you please continue.
Yeah. So all business activities need acquisition and use of funds for their commercial running. That is generating revenues over total costs incurred. Because a business is to generate revenue. This is an important part. And for generating revenue, for running your business, finance will be required. So finance is the lifeblood of a business. The financial management study about the process of procuring and judicious use of financial resources. Mind it, judicious use. So you are to give emphasis on judicious use of financial resources. Otherwise, you will not be able to get sustainable future. And if you use judiciously your financial resources, you will be able to maximize value of the firm, that is the value of owners. So efficient management of every business and getting sustainable future depend on efficient management of its finance. In general, what is, if I raise a question, what is finance? A lot of definitions are there. Is it audible? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Uh, what is finance? The question arises. Lot of definitions of the term finance are there, but I am just touching upon one or two definitions. In general, finance may be defined as the provision of money at the time it is wanted. When you need money, there should be provision of money. But in case of management, it carries a special meaning. Here, finance refers to the application of skills or care in the procurement, proper use, and control of money. So, procurement, proper use, and control of money, these three terms, with the help of skill and care, will be required. That is why you will be able to get your business to enhance the value of the firm. The functions of financial management have undergone sea changes over the years. Until about the middle of the last century, it was restricted to only procurement of funds, only procurement of funds. But since 1950s, the concept has been totally changed. Friends, we talk about sustainable finance, and sustainable finance is sometimes referred to as green finance. But mind it, green finance is not just about reducing emissions or preventing environmental damage. The finance ecosystem, clients and employees, shareholders and stakeholders, is striving the purpose and sustainability. Environmental, social, and governance considerations are the forefront of financing decisions supported by sustainable development goals and increased awareness of the climate change. What environmental concerns include? Is it audible?
Yes,
Audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. What environmental concerns include? Environmental concerns include air and water, pollution, deforestation, and biodiversity. More generally, they relate to how a company performs as a steward of nature. Mind it, a company always, a company is to serve, is to save our environment. A company is to act as a steward of environment. What social factors reveal? Social factors reveal how well a company manages relationships with employees, suppliers, customers, and the communities with which it changes. Social issues vary from diversity in the workplace to human rights and labor standards across the supply chain. When you combine corporate social responsibility with environmental responsibility, friends, you will get sustainability. So, sustainability includes both CSR and environmental responsibility. The importance of sustainable finance was explained succinctly last year by James Gorman, CEO of Morgan Stanley. I quote, "If we do not have a planet, we are not going to have a very good financial system." Recently, naturally, attitudes have been changed, and private sector as well as public sectors are beginning to take their commitments to the environment seriously and sincerely. I am just mentioning the example of two giant companies, oil major Royal Dutch PLC and mining giant Glencore PLC, have set environmental targets for the first time to get sustainable finance. Friends, it is obvious that sustainability is now become a global concern. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I am just mentioning certain important facts. Very recently, the world's top industrialists, including Bill Gates, Mukesh Ambani, Ratan Tata, and Jack Ma, launched the Breakthrough Energy Coalition. And this is an international group of 28 investors. Investors means 28 businessmen to bring companies that have potential to deliver affordable, reliable, and carbon free power from the research lab to the market. Is a remarkable achievement. And the businessmen, they are taking this initiative. I'm just mentioning one sample. 31% of American consumers, they have taken a very remarkable steps. 31% of American consumers say they have rewarded companies that are taking steps to reduce global warming by purchasing their products in the last year. Again, this is also remarkable study. 21% of American consumers say they have punished companies, they have boycotted companies, they are avoiding companies for opposing climate action by avoiding their products. Another study, it is Unilever study. In this study, 21% of the people surveyed across 5 countries mentioned that they would choose brands if they made their sustainability credentials. Mind it, sustainability credentials is the important criteria for choosing the brands. Shoppers is another study. Shoppers say that they feel better when they buy products that are sustainably produced. And 53% in UK shoppers, they have argued this. 88% in Indian shoppers, 78% in USA shoppers, they have argued this. In the second part of my discussion, I will highlight certain sustainability issues to finance decisions and key value drivers. Friends, you know that organizations are increasingly becoming motivated to embrace social expectations as part of their business strategies. Am I audible? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
You're
sir.
Yeah.
audible.
Yeah. So this has contributed to the concept of corporate sustainability. Many institutions at present, they are responding to the demands of consumers. They are responding to the demands of the consumers by allowing their stakeholders alongside employees to explore alternative options that reduce carbon emissions. This includes
Hello, sir. Am I audible, Professor Datta?
Sir, Professor Datta will join very shortly.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Go
problem.
ahead.
Yeah. So working capital management is an important factor which you have to consider to get sustainable. I'm not taking time. Investment returns, another important issue which a business is to consider to get sustainability. Another important aspect is corporate sustainability risks and opportunities. What is risk? In financial management, a risk constitutes the business of doing another business while maintaining profit, sustaining economic growth, and protecting the share value of the stakeholders in the market. And there is no requirement that the possibility be measurable, only that it must exist. Related to the uncertainty of future, when the certainty regarding future loss is high or maximum, the degree of risk is low. So the business is to consider risk and opportunity in order to gauge sustainability. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Another important aspect, corporate bankruptcy and sustainable growth. Friends, all of you know that sustainability and future development is much determined by an effective banking system within a country, because the banking industry holds a key position in the economy. In India, our banking sector is sufficiently capitalized, controlled, and well regulated. That is why the financial and economic conditions in our country are far superior to any other country in the world. Credit, market, and liquidity risk studies suggests that Indian banks are generally resilient and have withstood the global downturn well. In India, we have insolvency legislation, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 is indeed a big shot in the arm for banking industry. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, audible? Yeah. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, IBC, has been playing an important role in addressing the non-performing assets of banking sector by ensuring certainty and clarity in all aspects of the process. The IBC, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, hopes to achieve speedy resolution, higher recoveries, and in course of time, encourage lenders to go in for higher levels of debt financing. Regarding the third part of my discussion, that is corporate sustainability reporting, is another remarkable development to get sustainable future. If you apply corporate sustainability reporting, it is obvious the business will be able to get sustainable future, sustainable growth. At present, what we know, a business enterprise is accountable not only to its stakeholders, not only to its shareholders, but also to other stakeholders. The traditional business reporting is focused on providing information regarding economic activities of the firm, that is economic value addition, EVA of the firm. But now two additional activities, that is social and environmental activities, are added to economic activities to provide information regarding social and environmental outcomes of business activity. But unfortunately, uh, we have no such laws and regulations in case of maintaining corporate sustainability reporting. But mind it, no company can create shareholders' wealth on a sustained basis unless it has the following three-dimensional image in both national and international market. Number one, the company is endowed with people of high-class core competence in their area of specialization, high-class core competence. Number two, the firm's contribution to society is prominently visible. What the firm is contributing to the society is to be prominently reflected, is to be prominently visible in its image. And number three, the company is viewed by the society as an environment, an eco-friendly and a proactive company. I have mentioned that there is no proper laws and regulations, but during the last 3 decades, some of the regional and global standards have been developed to measure sustainability level of companies. I am just mentioning the name of certain global and regional standards. Number one, Global Reporting Initiative, in short, GRI guidelines. Majority of the companies in the world are following GRI guidelines in case of corporate sustainability reporting. Majority of the companies are following GRI guidelines with the help of or to maintain corporate sustainability. That is, companies are focusing on people, economic, people mean social, economic, and environmental issues. ISAE 3000, this is the name of another standard issued by International Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. Accountability, AA 1000, it is UK standard, UK. Social Accounting International, the Royal NIVRA COS 3410N is a Dutch standard, Dutch. International Organization for Standardization Standards, ISO 9000, ISO 26000, etc. CNCC in France, this is regional standard. CNDC in Italy, IDWA in Germany. And what are the basic purposes of these standards? Just I am mentioning. GRI were launched, GRI guidelines were launched to enhance credibility of corporate annual reports. ISAE 3000 was initiated. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. ISAE 3000 was initiated to establish basic principles and essential procedures for practitioners. SA 8000 was developed to set out voluntary requirements to be met by employers, including rights to workers, working environment, and management systems, that is both social and environmental issues. Accountability is a UK standard. It provides standard for measurement and reporting of ethical behavior in business. Ethical behavior in business. NIVRA COS 3410N, it is Dutch standard, regional standard. It was launched to provide guidance to the auditor. And in spite of certain global and regional standards, minded GRI guidelines are now the de facto international standards used by the majority of companies. In India, majority of the companies are following also GRI guidelines. Another significant development is the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, a global association of about 200 companies, is now playing an important role for sustainable development. It gives emphasis on four vital areas such as energy and climate, development, the role of business, and ecosystem. Today, it has become almost a practice for most of the American, Canadian, and European importers from India to check back from their nodal offices or contacts in India whether the Indian suppliers are following environmentally sound business practices. Am I audible? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Naturally, corporate sustainability drivers basically aim at two broad corporate objectives of number one, survival, that is existence, and number two, sustained growth, that is continuous growth, regular growth over a long period, that is relating to future, relating to long term. And different companies throughout the globe are measuring corporate sustainability reporting under three variables such as economic, social, and environmental variables. Due to shortage of time, this is the Indian last part of my discussion, Indian scenario. In India, majority of the large companies are following GRI guidelines. Already I have mentioned. Tata Steel is the first company in India who is maintaining sustainable development reports since 2001. Again, Paharpur Business Center is following since 2002. Still, the companies are following. Corporate sustainability reporting is gradually catching up among the Indian companies, both in the private and public sectors. Giant companies, Indian corporate giants such as REAL, Reliance Industries Limited, Tata, Ranbaxy, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, SAIL, ONGC, ICICI, Grazim Industries, Mahindra, Wipro, ITC, Paharpur Business Center, Infosys, Jubilant, Organosis, Ashok Leyland are following sustainable development practices. Tata, it figured in the world's top 100 companies, which has contributed significantly in areas of social responsibility, corporate governance, and environmental upgradation. Professor Mohapatra, he has mentioned the name of Jamshedji Tata. So Tata figured in the world's top 100 companies, which is contributing significantly in the areas of social responsibility, corporate governance, and environmental upgradation. In India, the first initiative in regard to sustainable growth was taken by Confederation of Indian Industries, CII, in association with the Godrej Group when they established the first Green Business Center in Hyderabad in 2004. Friends, just I am mentioning certain sustainable finance policies in India. Asian Development Bank Institute, they have mentioned that certain important sustainable finance policies have been uh, developed, have been prescribed in India. I'm just reading out the name. 2007 CSR, Sustainable Development and Non-Financial Reporting and Role of Banks. What would be the role of banks? 2011 Ministry of Corporate Affairs, National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental, and Economic Responsibilities of Business. It's a voluntary guidelines, not mandatory guidelines. 2012 SEBI Annual Business Responsibility Reporting. 2014 SEBI Infrastructure Investment Trusts Regulations. 2015 RBI Priority Sector Lending Targets and Classification. Indian Banks Association National Voluntary Guidelines for Responsible Financing. 2016 SEBI Guidelines for the insurance and listing green bonds, mind it. 2017, SEBI disclosure requirements for insurance and listing of green bonds. And all of you know that in 2013, we have new Companies Act 2013, and under Companies Act 2013, section 135 have been prescribed, have been mentioned regarding corporate social responsibility. Minimum 2% is a mandatory part. 2% of the average net profit is to be incurred by the companies for maintaining sustainable development. I'm just mentioning another significant aspect that all of you know. Hello, am I audible now? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Again, in order to maintain uniformity and to ensure transparency in accounting according to the global developments, India has already adopted International Financial Reporting Standard, that is IFRS conversed accounting standard in days. In India, we have IFRS conversed accounting standards, and it is known as Ind AS. Ministry of Corporate Affairs has already issued 41 Ind AS, which are mandatory from financial year 2016 and 17. In case of companies, provided it is a listed or unlisted company. Ind AS is also applicable in case of banking companies from April 1, 2017. Side by side, we have separate accounting standard AS for non-corporate entities, including SMEs, and we have already 32 accounting standards. I will conclude with the word that the concept of managing finance with a view to gaining sustainable growth is gradually increasing in the world. For maintaining existence, survival, and getting sustainable future, finance must be managed efficiently and effectively. Equal importance is to be given on three aspects. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, equal importance is to be given on three aspects, that is on people. People means social. Profit means economical, and planet means environmental. Profit relates to wealth creation. People relates to fulfilling social responsibilities, and planning relates to maintaining environmental quality. Naturally, proper care should be taken up from different corners to develop this new concept. Otherwise, we would not be able to get sustainable future. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you.
So, Professor
Network.
Datta,
Yeah.
okay, no problem, sir. Professor Uttam Kumar Datta
Network problem. Yeah.
has given a long discussion on the financial system. Particularly, he tried to bridge the very traditional system of finance to the modern system of finance. In a simple sense, from raising of funds to the use of funds. He tried to bridge with these two mantras, and as a whole he discussed on the procurement of finance, proper use of finance, and control of money.
Right.
In order to discuss these three major issues, he tried to unearth a number of financial thoughts. We shall go for the next speaker, Chartered Accountant Sri Vishnu Mohan Naik ji.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to everyone connected. So at the outset, I would. Hello.
দিয়ে আমাকে আবার ঢুকিয়ে দাও ওখানে।
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yes. You are audible.
So at the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to the management of the ASBM University for giving me this great opportunity for speaking on a topic which is actually great importance given the circumstances, given the environment under which the business is currently operating. So I think Mr. Professor Dutt has covered the sustainability part in great detail. I will be speaking mostly on how you can manage your finance when you have finance. I will now get on with my presentation mode. So is my presentation visible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So putting financial management at the heart of your business. So managing finance and cash flow should not be an afterthought strategy. So managing financial management or cash flow should be it should be planned well ahead. In fact, it should be a fundamental and integral part of your business strategy. It's because to be successful in business, you must thoroughly understand what are all the risk, what are all opportunities that is associated with the finance that could shape your business in long term. And if you can able to understand those risks and opportunities, then you can actually strive the growth business in the long term. Then how you can put a strategy as far as new business is concerned, as far as continuing business is concerned. So putting a financial management strategy for new business, especially for new business to start with initial few years, is very crucial. You need to have a very crystal clear financial management strategy so that you don't run out into the problem in short and long term. Traditionally, we have seen many business fail because of mismanagement of cash flow and mismanagement of finance. The many businesses have failed because they manage their finance, they manage their cash flow in such a way that they don't meet up to the expectation of the shareholders and other stakeholders. It could be because of they set high ambitious target, they set too low target, they don't keep track of their finance cost, their other cost. So drawing a very crystal and clear business plan for a new business, it is very important to start with a new business. You can maximize your chances of business success by being aware of that pitfalls. If there is any shortcomings that you are experiencing in the begin with to start a new business, then you can certainly incorporate those ideas, any shortcomings, any uncertain understanding that you are getting, you can incorporate and you can start and maximizing the ideas. Then as far as continuing business is concerned, then you can have a clear business plan in terms of where currently you are and how you want to achieve in the next goal in the near future. So to start with, as far as financial management strategy is concerned, you have to have a clear business plan for your new business, or if you're having existing business, you also have to have a clear business plan how you want to target your business profit or business finance or financial management. Once you have your strategy in place, then you can now I shall discuss the various techniques how can you manage your finance. So financial management involves, there are a lot of techniques, there are a lot of approaches where you can manage your finance. This budgeting and forecasting is one of the key parameters or key technique that plays how you can manage your finance. So almost all major business, they have a very robust and sound budgeting and forecasting techniques. But when it comes to MSMEs, they fail to actually capture their actual cash flow in their budgeting. So what the actual budget means, It means every financial year beginning, you need to have a clear-cut budgeting of your cash flows. What is going to be your cash flow in the years to come? It could be monthly cash flow, quarterly cash flow. It could be bi-monthly cash flow also. It could be half-yearly cash flow. You should be in a position to draw in your budget so that once you start doing your business, you should not be in a position to get into problem because you have a clear-cut budget. You have the idea how much you're going to spend, how much you're going to earn, how much you're going to, how much is going to be your cash outflow, cash inflow. So once the budget is in place, you as a finance manager should start doing variance analysis. So variance analysis means, suppose you have the budget of let's say financial year 21-22. So once you begin, you can start tracking your budget for monthly or quarterly. So every quarterly you have your actual cash flow position and you have already budgeted, and you can compare where you have gone wrong. If the variances are actually, there are a high number of variances, you can understand where those variances are coming. Is it because those variances are one time any expenditure or one time any cash outflow or inflow, or is it those variances because something that you could have incorporated while doing the budget? You need to identify those variances and ensure that those variances are incorporated in the next budget or when you revise your subsequent budgets. So thereby, if you are doing an actual budget and if you are able to minimize your variance, that will really contribute an efficient financial management in your business. Moving on to the next one is accounting. Major business, they have accounting, they have a robust and very sound accounting system. It is the small and medium enterprise that struggle in their accounting system. I've seen in my experience, in my dealings with the many clients, what they do is, especially small business, they start their accounting only when the audit starts. They start their accounting only when the banker asks them to produce their accounts. So if you have that kind of accounting system, then you are not going to manage your finance efficiently. So to have real-time accounting system, what is the benefit that you're going to have? So you have purchase, you have sales, you have bank transaction, you have expenditure payments. As and when transaction occurs, you should be in a position to have that kind of accounting system. It should be in a position to capture all the business transaction then and there. Whenever transaction occurs, you should be in a position to capture it. So at any moment you want to understand what is your profitability, what is your financial performance, then you should be in a position to understand this is your profitability. If you know the profit, then you can draw your cash flow statements. If you know the cash flow statement, if you know what is your cash position, if you know what is the cash that you have, then you can certainly plan your cash flow in the days to come. Then moving on to the payment part. Payment is yet another important function of financial management. To start with customer payment, you should always ensure that your customers are paying on time. If they do not pay on time, you should sit down with the customer and understand why they are not paying on time. If some customers are failing to pay on the time, then you should understand why. Is it because customer is enjoying 30 days credit or 60 days credit and they want some more days credit? If it is required, you can extend them credit. Instead of 30 days, you can give them 60 days. In that case, you know your cash flow. Instead of not receiving cash flow on time and allowing them to extend the credit period and getting the cash on time is better. So to avoid the credit period, avoid the delay in receiving customer is important. If you have the a system or receivable management system where customer is paying on time, then you are in a better position to manage your finance. Similarly, your supplier payment, your vendor payment, you should, as a business, as a finance manager, you should direct your business to service your vendors on time. If you do not service your vendors on time, on short term, you might have a surplus cash, but there might be a situation, there might be a scenario where you may end up giving a large cash. In that case, you may actually run into a trap of negative cash situation. So then the standardizing payment terms. So in a business, actually, there are those business who are in a listed setup or large corporate setup. They have a very standardized payment terms. Especially small businesses, they do not have standardized payment terms. So what they can do is they can list out what all customers they have, what all suppliers they have, what is their customer requirement, what is the credit period they want, and what is that credit period the business can accommodate, and they can derive some kind of arrangement so that payment terms, if standardized, your cash flow systems are freezed. And if a cash flow system is freezed, then you do not have any problem in managing your finance. Then moving on to the statutory payments. As a business, you will have many statutory payments ranging from provident fund, gratuity, advance tax, TDS, interest payment. So as a business, you should plan all your statutory payments well in advance. You can have some kind of a dashboard or some kind of calendar that tells you how much statutory liabilities that is going to be going to go out, and what is the deadline, when are you going to make. And if you are able to plan it, and if you're able to meet the deadline, you can save the interest, you can save the penalties. And meeting the deadline is not only saving the interest, not only saving the penalty, you also are able to prevent the auditor making any disqualification in audit report. If you do not meet the deadline, what happens is the auditor will come and catch hold of you and say that you not make payment on time because these are the statutory things. And when you do not make statutory things on time, then it damages your reputation in business. So sticking to the deadline is absolutely essential. That needs to be kept in mind when you do finance and when you manage finance. This consistent cash reserve is something which actually has come up in the last 2-3 years. Big business, they're already doing it. They're maintaining a large amount, some portion of cash as a reserve to mitigate any exigencies, any emergency that occur in future. But when it comes to small business, there's a study by Boston Consulting Group. It said that MSMEs in India are operating on a hand-to-mouth basis. They only depend on sales when sale occurs, and they wait for customer to make payment. Once payment is made, they try to meet out their working capital. So they recommended, this BCG study recommended that business, especially MSME, should have at least 6 months of payroll and statutory and other payables as their cash reserve. Then that will really prevent this kind of unavoidable shutdowns. Because this COVID-19 pandemic, if you look at the many business shut down because they did not have cash at all, and due to lack of cash, they had to compulsorily shut down. And if you have this consistent cash reserve, you can actually honor your commitments or important commitments, so that you do not run into problem, and when the business resumes, you again back to the normal. Then keep the cash flowing. There are many ways in which you can ensure that cash is flowing to a business. It could be business specific, but I've just listed down a few of them so that you have an idea how what business can understand, or how business can approach. It's one can design its business in such a way that regular cash is coming to its business. So eyes on your overheads. So you have this direct and indirect expenditure. So every direct expenditure, indirect expenditure, if you keep a close monitor on it and start close and daily monitoring it, and you understand there might be some expenditure which you are actually expending, which are not required to expend otherwise. So you can cut those expenditure, thereby you can save cash outlay, and there is a cash saving also. Reinvesting. There are many companies who have this practice that they park certain amount of their cash flow, positive cash flow, and reinvest in business. The small business, what they can do, they can have a practice, some kind of practice. Let's say, for example, quarterly, if they have a positive cash flow, in that positive cash flow, they can pull out, let's say, 5% or 10% and reinvest in the business. That will ensure that really cash is keep coming to the business, then they do not have any problem, the cash problem. Then this bundled product and services. This could be well for engineering business or manufacturing business. When they sell product, if they provide this after sale service, that is called bundled product and services, then whenever there's a defect to the product, when the product is damaged, the customer will again come to you, and you can also earn cash by providing this after sale service. This is just one more point I just wanted to note down here. Then this customer loyalty program. This is a concept of late has been developed by many business, that if there are a customer who just come one time to you and purchase and go away, and if you want to retain those customers, you can have this kind of a program called customer loyalty program. You can provide them so that every purchase, every incremental purchase that they make, they get some points. They get some points, so thereby you can retain them, and those points that can be redeemed at a later point of time. So with this, I conclude, and with this quote I conclude. And thank you all for your patient listening. And if there is any question, I think you can ask when the question and answer session is on.
Thank you very much, Chartered Accountant Vishnu Mohan ji.
Thank you, sir.
The Chartered Accountant Sri Vishnu Mohan Nayak ji, he discussed on two important factors. One is the maximization of the cash flow, and the second one is the minimization of the variances. He tried to discuss these two, giving a number of examples from the corporate and from the financial system. Now we shall switch over to our next panel speaker, and here they say, once again, I am requesting to all our delegates, participants, those who are having any questions for our panel speakers, so they can write in the chat box only. They should not ask during the period of that question answer session. It will disturb the entire system. All are requested to give their questions only in the chat box, and we shall discuss and we shall send the questions to the appropriate panel speakers at the right time. Anyhow, so Chartered Accountant Sri Nayak ji has discussed on these two mantras and have given a large number of examples to prove all these. We shall switch over to our next panel speaker, Mr. Vikas Agrawal from SBI Life Insurance. Sri Agrawal ji.
Good afternoon. Is my PPT visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Dr. Mohapatra, the management of ABSM University. And I would also like to thank Professor Uttam Datta and the CA, Mr. Vishnu Nayak, for beautiful insight. I've been talking all my life about insurance, and I learned a lot today. Topic given is very interesting: managing finance for sustainable future. And when I asked Dr. Mohapatra that I am a man from insurance, he said, yes, you talk on that topic. So it becomes very easy for me, because managing finance for sustainable future is what is my bread and butter. Well, COVID over a period of last 12 months has changed everybody's life. Starting from fear of COVID to prevention to recovery, then fight back, and then coming towards the growth. And unfortunately, another news coming that a second wave is coming. And still, when we go out in the field today, when we go out to the market today, we see a lot of people not wearing masks. So people are trying to sustain themselves also mentally that, okay, enough is enough, but we have to be careful. So with this new type of, we should say, problems coming in, which were totally unexpected, at individual level, I feel, and you will also agree, That is very, very important, to sustain our finances for future. And that is where the terminology or the expectations from the marketers are growing towards the guaranteed or long-term investment options. I'm sure many of you know this, and the few of you who don't know, there are 26 and more countries which are giving only 1 to 3% interest. And the main ones I'll just read out: Qatar, Malaysia, Kuwait, UAE, Singapore. They are giving between 1 to 3% interest on all the deposits that we make with them. Well, there are countries which give you less than 1% interest. That is Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia, New Zealand, United States, United Kingdom, to name a few. List doesn't end here. The surprises goes on. There are countries which doesn't give you any rate of interest. Australia, Bulgaria, 22 names are there. Germany, Ireland, Italy, Sweden, best names are there which doesn't give you any interest rate. And to our surprise, there are Japan, Denmark, and Switzerland type of countries where there is a negative rate. Means they charge 0.1%, 0.75% to keep your money safe. So this is where the world economy is heading to. And India is no far behind. If you look at from 1995 till date, 1995, our rate of interest was 15%. 2000, it came down to 12.5%. 2005, it further came down to 10.5%. 2010, 9%, 7.5%, and currently we are talking of 5.4%. And obviously, we all know there is a TDS. So the slope is very constantly going down. So looking into the past slides and looking into the countries past, where the audience feels the rate of interest will be after 5 years, after 10 years, or after 15 years. Because when we talk of future, future is just not 2, 3, or 4 years. Future is beyond 15 years. And that is where we have to think about, and that is where everybody is forced to think about. So here we see there are 74 countries where interest rate is less than 3% to -%. In developing countries, interest rate is diminishing year after year. And India is also a developing country, and that's why, as per the formula, as per the universal formula, it has come down from 15% to 5.4%, and I'm sure it's going down every day. Because repo rate has also gone down very drastically, which was not expected, from 6% to 4%. Well, look at the equity from 1990 till date, from 1,000 to 50,000. Who had thought of this kind of a journey for your share market? Actual journey, actual growth of share market also started from around 2000 plus. And then we saw the dip of 2008, and then we saw another dip of last March. Well, if you see this presentation slide, what it dropped from 40,000 to 28,000 approximately in the month of March 2020. It had gained this momentum from 28, 29,000 to 40,000 in over 3 years of time. But the recovery part from 28,000 to 50,000 and to that level of 40,000 took only 6 months. And today we have crossed 50,000. That's the kind of market scenario we are talking today. Well, for personal sustainability, we have to talk very long-term investments, PPF, ELSS, EPF, VPF, any other ATC instrument that you see, all are long-term investments. Mutual funds are another options, and obviously equity that I showed you 2 slides is another hot cake, you can say, for last almost 2 decades today. Well, life insurance is another very, very important tool which used to be a push product, has become a pull product. Every good, bad, ugly thing brings with it, some positives. And COVID has bring about a very big positive that people have started talking in terms of protection. Because future has become so uncertain all of a sudden. There are all parameters. There are many life stages in a person's life, which life insurance has various products to cover. Somebody may argue, sir, I have a mutual fund to invest for my future. Why should I invest in life insurance? So before I carry on, I'll just give you one example, one argument on that. You invest 5,000 rupees in a mutual fund on a SIP, and you take a monthly plan of 5,000 rupees in life insurance for the same term. Everything is same. This is ULIP, that is mutual fund, means though both the products are investing in market. Now, if something happens to somebody, this everybody knows कि कोई अमृत तो लिखा के नहीं आया है. One who has come has to go. But COVID has increased that fear psychology in our minds that when that future will be, nobody knows. So in this scenario, if we take an example that something happens to these two people after 1 year, then what will happen? A guy who was investing 5,000 rupees in mutual fund, his family will get 60,000 rupees plus the growth. Chapter closes. But when it comes to the person who has invested a 5,000 per month in ULIP, then obviously 5,000 into 12 is 60,000 into 10 normal is 6 lakh rupees is the insurance cover for that person. So if something happens to the second person, his family will get 6 lakh rupees. So 60,000 plus maturity versus 6 lakhs, and the bonuses, if any, is the very big difference today. And that's why life insurance has been a very important tool from time immemorial. Well, first and foremost, the family protection from your income. Something happens to you, how your family's future will be sustainable if you are not there. For that, we suggest a term plan. Health insurance, because of COVID, has become a very, very important thing. We all know that less than 5 or 7% people have taken health insurance of their own. Most of us who are working, they depend on their company's insurance support. They don't realize that when they retire, what will happen to their insurance, health insurance needs. Because mostly we require the health insurance part as we age. Then comes your liability insurance, where comes your home loans, car loans. Again, same thing, You buy a 25-30 lakh worth of car on EMI. You buy a house, 1 crore, 1.5 crore on EMI. Something happens suddenly. There is no liability insurance. What will happen? The finance company will come and take it away, whether it's a house or a car or anything. Protection and investments. Again, long-term returns. We saw how the returns are diminishing over a period of time. But today, if there is a long-term return plan, it's only with insurance companies. They guarantee returns. Child future is another very big responsibility on all of us for the sustainable future of child's education and growth and marriage. There are beautiful plans which cover both sides of the insurances. Wealth creation, we have ULIP. ULIP is nothing but mutual fund plus life insurance. So that's the example I was giving. You invest only in mutual fund, or you invest in mutual fund plus ULIP. Then last but very, very important point, we work for 30 years, and because of today's medical science and the quality of living improving and awareness among the people, the longevity of people is too high today. Earlier, the average age of people living was around 60, 65. Today's gone up from to 80, 85, and some people we know in our families also live beyond 90. So retirement and pension, government has stopped the pension beyond some say 2010 or so. So we have to take care of our retirement plans also. You have to create the corpus for your pension, for your future, so as you can take annuity. I remember a few cases where people used to say, "Arey, annuity rate is only 8%." And today you see the 5.4% is the return. An annuity rate means you give a fund, and that date, whatever fund the return is fixed for rest of the life. I know people whom we had sold annuity products at 13% rate of interest, some about 12 years back. Even today, while the market has gone down to 5.4%, my own company is giving annuity at only 5.9%. This gentleman is getting and will get 13% return till this person is alive. So that's the kind of management of your finance for sustainable future gives you, and life insurance is one of the important aspects of that. You have equity market, you have mutual funds, you have other options. Point is, one should provide for managed funds for a sustainable future, which is very, very important. And I will just use a pictorial to whatever I have said. The assets protection, the liability for your home loans, the hospitalization needs, protection for your retirement, protection for child's future and education, and obviously wealth creation for your future needs, life insurance and otherwise. All the provisions are there to provide, but we have to start somewhere. Start now is the only thing I tell everybody. I don't say you invest in insurance or this or that. Wherever you feel like investing, you must invest. You must start investing now is my mantra. Thank you so much for being a patient listener to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agrawal, sir. Now we shall go for a question answer session. Those who are interested for putting the questions, they should give the questions through the chat box only. We have received one question, and this question is meant for Professor Uttam Kumar Datta.
Yeah.
Sir, you are audible, sir?
Yeah, am I audible? I am audible.
Okay. What are some key financial measures which the government has taken for the sustainable development of infrastructure? This question is received from a professor. What are the some key financial measures which government have taken for sustainable development of infrastructure?
Yeah, one important policy the government has announced in 2014, SEBI, and I am quoting Infrastructure Investment Trust Regulation. So in 2014, SEBI has published its regulations regarding infrastructure investment trusts. So in case of infrastructure, lot of regulations have been developed, lot of regulations have been prescribed by the government. All are to be followed. Even the government is time to time amending the regulations also. And 2014, SEBI Infrastructure Investment Trust Regulation is an important aspect of this. Yeah.
Okay. So now another question for the Chartered Accountant Sri Vishnu Mohan Naik ji. This question is asked from a student. Sustainable development involves taking care of interest of all strata of the society. While government has been active in some areas, this pandemic COVID has created a new category of difficulties like unemployment of young people, unemployed middle class. So how can this be taken care of?
Okay, so basically your question is how to tackle unemployment currently.
Yes.
So I think the recent unemployment data released by the labor survey by the labor ministry, and I think CMI also has released the data, has suggested that we are back to the pre-pandemic period. Now, how to tackle the unemployment is something that I think we as a society will lack skills. There's a study by TCS and Infosys. They say that around 70% of graduates are unemployable. Though they have a degree, they lack skill set. So I think our higher education system needs to step up. We need to give them a right kind of training, right kind of skills, so that the moment they get into the any industry, be it software, be it engineering, be it construction, they are well equipped to handle the job. They need not be trained. Now the TCS and Infosys, they are the big IT giant. What they are doing, they're recruiting and they are putting into on-the-job training mode. So for 6-7 months, they are on the job, and there are many other graduates who are actually not even employable. So that is the one thing, a major thing that is there. Skill set is required. We as a society, there are a lot of deficit in skill set. Of course, the other factor is there. So I think the major is the skill set we need to talk about. And the current situation is that the unemployment situation is actually, we are back to the pre-pandemic. Now around 5.3% is the unemployment rate. So now I think this will, if the status quo will continue, we don't know where it is going, but that is the status.
Okay, very good. So this question is meant for Sri Vikas Agrawal ji. This question is on insurance. In India, the insurance population is very, very less. So as to say, insurance companies, now a number of insurance, both public and in private domain, what they are doing and what they are say planning for this, so that a large population will be covered under the insurance, so that a sustainable development will come, particularly in this sector.
Sir, insurance is a matter of solicitation, is a very, very old saying. And I wish there was a formula, whereby I could go and sell a policy to everybody. There are two sets of people. We can categorize all the population into two sets. One is insurable population, one is non-insurable population. So, unless and until Government of India comes up with something called, social security scheme, we all have to go all individually and do it. I had done one analysis on State Bank's customer data, and I found that the coverage of the penetration of life insurance is less than 1% among the State Bank customers also. Even if I say that 25-30% people are, have opened their account because of some government scheme or something, still 75% population is still 50% account holders of the State Bank can be sold. And that's a great opportunity for State Bank and SBI Life Insurance. And that goes for many other companies like ours. And if you do little more analysis, you will realize and find out that bank assurance is a more sustainable model in terms of life insurance business. And apart from reaching to more and more people, and we can proudly say that we have a better rural reach. So we are happy selling small policies to the people at the village level who come to the bank, and we motivate them to buy a policy. And we are thereby doing a better social service than other insurance companies. I never say any negative word for any insurance company. All are doing a good job. But we having a larger reach to the rural sector, we are proud to say that the number of policies that we are doing in the rural sector are very high. It's a very healthy ratio. And we'll keep doing that. That's in our business interest. So government has to come with some social security system. They are coming. Government has launched that 330 rupees PMJJY, and that I would say to this gentleman or the person who asked this question, that government has a very big scheme called PMJJY, and I would proudly say that State Bank is one of the biggest banks to very seriously work on that. We are promoting PMJJY, and it's a very big social sector initiative by Government of India. Thank you.
Another question is from the insurance sector particularly.
Please.
So insurance product is not sold. Insurance product is bought.
No, sir, it's other way around. I would be very happy if people come and queue and Vikas, I want a policy. But I would say one thing, this pandemic has increased the acceptability in the mind of people. Earlier, you know, एक पुराना notion था, अरे LIC वाला आ गया, भगाओ. So after COVID, at least nobody is coming up. Nobody is coming to my office and saying, you know, I want a policy. But I'll give you an example. In State Bank, we lost a couple of people. And when we went out and whenever my boys and girls reached out to those branches or those areas, we were asked, then the inquiry came in, yaar tum wo policy ke baare mein bata rahe the. Then suddenly 25-30 people will buy a policy. But I wish Dr. Mahapatra, that day comes where people start coming of their own, because one has to understand the future responsibility of his families. And Indian social structure is such that there is a lot of interdependency within the family. Unlike West, there is a lot of dependency on each other. So here the insurance plays, or insurance requirement is a bigger need. And we are trying to promote it day in, day out. Thank you.
Okay. One will purchase life insurance when he will understand about the protection for the future. And when one will understand that if he or she is not there, how his dream will be fruitful. At that moment, the insurance purchase will be there. And many a times, many are ignorant on this. And why not? Both in government sector and in insurance sector. So we shall induce to introduce the insurance as a text, particularly that say labels, so that when a son and daughter will say come to the house and he will explain to his father about the protection, so definitely something different or the changing atmosphere will be there. What is your opinion on this particularly?
Sir, insurance starts when a person starts working, because it is all about your human life value. Emotions are priceless, but human life value is only what is the insurable part. And there is a limit to that. And there are different stages, as I was telling in my presentation. The first stage is the term product, you know, saving your liability, saving your own income for your family. Say a person starts his career, he is earning 7 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 10 lakh rupees. Then he gets married. Then wife is his responsibility. Today both the people are working. There was a time, or today also there are many families where the girl is not working. Girl is working or not working, it is the family is the responsibility. If the earning person is not there tomorrow, that much inflow of funds will be stopped automatically. From where the wife or mother, father, or any other person who is dependent on this earning person, how they will sustain in future? For that, a suitable term plan we suggest. But you know, it's all about human psychology. आदमी सोचता है अरे अभी तो शुरू किया है, अभी क्या करेंगे, अभी तो एंजॉय करने दो, अभी तो गोवा घूमने जाना है, अभी तो फॉरेन ट्रिप पे जाना है, अभी कहाँ इंश्योरेंस खरीदने की जरूरत है. तो it is all about a game of human mind, you know, and a time has come. For last 15-20 years, 20 years back, when insurance companies were allowed to come in, and today there are 23 private insurance companies are there. The information about insurance was not there. What is your human life value? How much insurance you should take? Nobody knew. इनकम टैक्स के लिए LIC के एजेंट एक फाइल खोल देता था, उसमें कितना इंश्योरेंस मिलना है, लाख रुपए है, 2 लाख रुपए है, वो कुछ हो जाएगा तो फैमिली के काम भी आएगा कि नहीं आएगा, उतना प्रीमियम वो आपसे ले जाता था जिससे कि आपकी इनकम टैक्स की फाइल कंप्लीट हो जाए. दिस वाज द मीनिंग ऑफ लाइफ इंश्योरेंस till about 20 years back or till about 15 years back. Today, even IRDAI is putting advertisements in the newspaper, informing people about the responsibility and the requirements of the life insurance. Various life insurance companies do promotion on TV and other medias, giving the importance of insurance. So we all collectively, I would say, all insurance companies, by way of marketing, in the interest of our business, but ultimately in the larger interest of the public, are creating awareness. Yes, there is life insurance, there is need of life insurance, and then we follow with people, whoever likes it, and in the terminology of sales, we say, create the pain, create the need, create the pain of not having the product. So you need life insurance, and I will meet you and I'll try to create the need in your mind which pre-existed. I will make you realize that yes, this need was there, but you never bothered till now. So yes, the responsibility on us also is to reach out to more and more people and educate them. But then business has a cost, business has a limitation. But yes, in whatever business sense you can say, we are meeting people day in, day out and trying to spread the awareness of insurance and get business little.
So this is the last question to Chartered Accountant Sri Vishnu Mohan ji. India preferred to go for Ind AS, not to go for that convergence of the IFRS. And how this new Ind AS will give a sustainable, that's a development or the sustainability to the future age corporates.
So I think on a principal basis, there is no difference between Indian accounting standard and IFRS. So what happened is there are many countries, what they did is they adopted IFRS as it is. But we as India, we decided to not to adopt as it is because of our business environment. There are certain standards which are not feasible to our business environment. So we have around 30 or 40 to 45 standards are there, IFRS standards. We have adopted 41 standards. All the standards are on a principal level, there is no difference. What happens? There are some carve outs you can see. Suppose there is a standard called Ind AS 109, which talks about finance instrument. We have taken as it is from IFRS. But there is one clause that is not feasible for our financial statement or our business environment in which we are operating. So we just made an amendment. So if you look at 99%, that Ind AS 109 is same. There's no difference. Only because this to suit our business environment, we have changed this nomenclature as Ind AS. But on a principal level, there's no difference between IFRS and Ind AS. If you look at the other countries like Singapore, they are adopted as it is, and they call it as SFRS, Singapore Financial Reporting Standard. The other countries also. So there is no difference. And coming to the sustainability, I think this Ind AS is not. It's a purely accounting standard. It doesn't talk about any environment or other social relating thing. So to expect sustainability from a standard which is purely based on accounting and finalization of accounts or annual report or balance sheet, I think it's too much to expect from a financial accounting standard to talk about sustainability. But there is actually world over what happens, there are two types of standards being followed. US follows a different standard, and the rest European countries and other Asian, African countries follow different standard that is called IFRS, and the US follows that is called US GAAP, United States General Accepted Accounting Principles. So there is a project at the international level that is going on to merge this US GAAP and IFRS, so that at a world level we have only one set of accounting standard. I think once that the project that is going on, once the project is finalized, I think we will not have this Ind AS again. With this Ind AS will undergo a change. So that time we can see how the standard is shaping. But currently this Ind AS is actually no different from IFRS. This is one and the same, bearing the certain 5-6 carve outs are there.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now the time is to have a sum up. All our three panel speakers have said nicely in this plenary session. All the three speakers, so they have emphasized on sustainable growth and future sustainability. At first, Professor Uttam Kumar Datta, a veteran having he very nicely emphasized and breached the two mantras, I mean the funds and use of funds in his talk. And while discussing these two mantras and to have a sustainability for the future generation, a number of points he raised, he discussed, and he analyzed. So few are like this sustainable issues to the financial decisions and key value drivers. Then he discussed on the efficient flow of working capital. And he discussed also on investment factors. All these are crucial for the sustainability. And next, Professor Datta also discussed on corporate sustainability and risk opportunities. And then sir discussed on role of banking industries in economic and business developments of the country. And he gave emphasis to the non-performing assets. And again, sir discussed on GRI guidelines and the corporate sustainable reporting. Sir also discussed on sustainable standards, which can bring, if adequately these will be followed, so it will bring the sustainability in the future. Again, Professor Datta also discussed on ethical behavior of the corporates to meet the standards. So this is very, very important for the present and the coming generation. And again, sir discussed on energy, climate, and environmental issues. And if the corporate and the general people will give emphasis to these factors, so definitely a future sustainable or a bright future will be there, and our next day will be the best day. Again, sir discussed and given examples from the different cases of Indian scenario. Sir wanted to discuss on the major Indian measures like from Tata, Ashok Leyland to many others, including REAL. So by these cases, sir tried to explain about the real sustainability, what we are seeing and what we will see in the future. And next, our young chartered accountant, Mr. Vishnu Mohan Nayak ji, so explained very nicely on two important factors. And these two important factors will definitely bring the future sustainability if we will be careful enough for this. One is maximization of the cash flow. A very beautiful thing is studied to the student, is given to the students, that even if a very standard and very modern tool of investment decision will be applied, but the inaccurate cash flow and the bad cash flow will be given as the raw material, then it will give a bad result. So that the cash flow plays a very crucial role for to maintain the sustainability, to maintain a sustainable business and to have a sustainable growth. So sir has given emphasis on this maximization of cash flow and minimization of the variances. He has given importances to different factors, different points, different issues like mismanagement of cash flow, high ambition target, maximization of the business ideas, which the students generally know, exploitation of the commercial opportunities, I mean the clear business plans, focused budgeting and minimizing the variance, sound and robust accounting system should be adopted so that it will give a step to the future sustainability, and many others are also discussed. And at last, from the insurance sector, a veteran, Mr. Vikas Agrawal ji, was with us. Sir discussed that India is a populous country. Majority of its population are not aware and are not given this insurance education properly till now. So that the selling of the insurance is at a lower level, and very soon it will increase, and slowly the Indian population, so as to say the Indian population is our juggernaut. Like Jagannath is great for us, so similarly our population is great for us. So in this populous country, and if you will really follow the law of large numbers, and slowly our great population will be aware about this protection and about these life policies and other policies, so that more and more customers will be there. And so as to say that, say you have said this, it is an Apple product, and this Apple product will be very closer. Once upon a time, the apple was a dream, but nowadays apple we are taking in our breakfast. So particularly the Indian people, so Indian generation, so they will develop these ideas in their mind slowly, and insurance product demands will be raised in India, and sustainability will also be there, and a growth will also be there in this insurance sector. And all our three panel professors, so they have discussed on the sustainable growth and future sustainabilities, giving many issues and many ideas and many mantras. And I hope so this will add very tremendous value to all our participants, to all our students, and to all our delegates. Now over to Abhipsa for a vote of thanks.
May I now request Dr. Rupsa Mahapatra, Co-Coordinator of National Finance Symposium, to propose the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Abhipsha. Thank you so very much, sir. I would like to thank our eminent speakers of this plenary session, Professor Uttam Kumar Datta, sir, Chartered Accountant Vishnu Mohan Nayak, sir, and Mr. Vikas Agrawal, sir, for giving their precious time and enriching the valuable insight in the National Finance Symposium 2021. Again, I would like to thank our President, Professor Dr. Vishwajit Patnaik, sir, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Kalyan Sankar Ray, sir, our Pro-Vice Chancellor, Dr. Falgu Niranjana, ma'am, for guiding us and continuously inspiring us to make this finance symposium possible in this short span of time. I also extend my thanks to all the faculty, colleagues, and friends, our dear students, research scholars, management staffs, and technical team, and each and everyone who are associated with this National Virtual Financial Symposium for their eminent support and cooperation. Thank you very much, and thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Datta. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, audible here. Thank you to all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
You have joined with us. Thank you.
Yeah,
Professor
thank you.
Chartered Accountant Vishnu Mohan ji.
Thank you, sir. Very kind enough. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
you have accepted this our proposal and to join with you, and you joined with us. We are very much thankful, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Vikas Agrawal ji.
Yeah.
Thank you.